Hi everybody, my name is Nick Justushin. I teach virtual production at Drexel University, and in this video we're going to take a look at how we can handle getting rid of extra accessories here in some of our characters that we might not want when we're retargeting animations. So in this case, I've got a mocap take from Vicon, and I've set up an IK retargeting rig for this Narbash character. Narbash is one of the Paragon characters. You can get them for free from the marketplace. Just search for the word Narbash, N-A-R-B-A-S-H, and I'm sure you'll find him, and you can download him for free if you want to use them. I have a student that wants to use them but doesn't want these accessories to appear in the animation, but they kind of follow the character along when the animation is retargeted. These are weapons and these are drums, and they're not really in any of the joint chains for retargeting, so there's nothing we can do about them here. But one of the things we are lucky about is that they do have bones. So if I go to character bones and show the whole hierarchy here, we can see that there is a joint for this whole little drum contraption in front of them, and there are also independent joints for each of these weapons clubs. There's a weapon right and a weapon left. So we can actually edit those in the sequencer. So I've already gone ahead and run the retargeting for this animation. So I just wanted to use this to kind of show what was going on. So here is a little level and a sequencer where we've already got the animation applied to the character, and so that's all working good. So we want to be able to edit things so we don't accidentally see any of those weapons or the drums here. We just want the character. So to do that, we're going to use the forward kinematics control rig, FK rig, and we'll take the animation that we have in its current duration, and on the track for Narbash here, I'll just right click and choose edit with FK control rig. So this will copy that animation. I'll just hit create here, and everything that's been keyed in terms of the joints and the character are now going to be baked to this FK control rig, and there's a keyframe for every single frame. Now, a lot of these joints aren't being animated. It's really just the core character that's being animated. So what I want to do is kind of gather up all these extras and put them away. And I'm just going to use a little cheat with, now that we're in animation mode, because this control rig is open, we have the ability to use constraints, and we can use constraints on the individual joints of the character, right? So if I search for weapon, for example, we can see here weapon 2 and weapon R, weapon left and weapon R. They're kind of embedded inside the character right now, but these are the two joints that govern where those two clubs are. So I can drag select all of these keyframes and delete those, and I can also do the same for these keyframes and delete those. So they won't be animated relative to the hands anymore, but I want to gather them up and hide them away. So I'm going to just use another actor to gather them with, and so I'm just going to go here to my add menu here and choose shapes, and just for the sake of visibility, I'm going to use cube. I could have used an empty actor to essentially have an invisible null, but since I'm going to hide everything under the floor here, a visible cube is just as good. So the pivot point for the cube is right in the center of the cube, and what I want to do is take these two weapons. So I'm clicked on weapon L, and I've got my control key down, and I'll click on weapon R. Both of those are selected. I'll go to constraints, and I'm going to add a constraint. In this case, I'm going to choose a parent constraint, and then I get an eyedropper tool. I need to point to, well, what am I going to constrain these to? And that is going to be the cube. I'm going to pick the cube. Okay, so now if I expand this, I have a parent constraint track here, right here. Here's parent, and they're both parented to the cube, and I don't actually even care about the translation position. Unreal automatically added this data for us based on the current position of where that bone was relative to the cube, and I don't need that because I'm going to zero all of this out. So I'm going to select these keys and delete them, and select these keys and delete those, and I do want these tracks here to last for the entire duration of the animation. So let's see if I can drag this right here, drag that keyframe to the beginning, and do the same here. And okay, so now each of these weapons is parented to the cube forever, and I'll just zero out location 0, 0, 0. And now you can see that weapon right here. And I'll do the same with this 0, 0, 0. And that second weapon is there. So both weapons are there, but we still have the drums. So let's go and get those. Drum main. This is it right here. I will select all of these keys and delete them. And this time I've got my playback head at the frame 0. So I can select drum main, add a constraint right here. Parent constraint. That will add the parent constraint track as soon as I pick the cube to parent to. There it is. And I can just zero this out. 0, 0, and 0. So now those two weapons and this set of drums are all gathered up with this cube. I can select the cube and drag that down. So that's it. If I really want to make sure this stays this way, I can now bake this result over to a new animation sequence, right? So I'll clear out my search and I'll right click on Narbash and I will bake to animation sequence, and we'll just put that right into this Narbash, and we'll call this Narbash no drums anim, and skins, bash a lantern, and meshes. There we go. And okay, export animation. And so now that edited animation is getting baked out to a new animation sequence asset. And here it is, no drums. So let's go ahead and do a save all while we're here. And now in Sequencer, what I could or should be able to do is take this animation and delete it. Let's take this track and delete it and add our new animation, which was no drums. And there we go. Now we see Narbash animating without any drums visible. So I hope this helps. Until next time, have fun.